So for the past few months, one theme has consistently emerged in the conversations that we've been having with chief execs, chief people officers, and senior marketing and digital leaders. And it's really that businesses are looking to transform and grow without losing momentum. And in today's market, the leadership capability has become one of the biggest competitive advantages. And we're seeing some really clear trends emerge. In terms of what we're seeing in the executive search market, I would say that overall hiring confidence is high. And I know that goes completely against what you'll be reading in the press. But we have a bird's eye view of what the sort of leading 500 companies are doing. And it's absolutely fascinating because there's some really key themes that are running through this. So it comes back fundamentally to transformation and growth at pace. And we're seeing companies, particularly private equity companies, really lean into this. And the output of that is, where are they going to make the changes? Where are they going to be hiring? And a lot of that really goes around key roles in terms of, marketing is being seen as the engine for growth. It's the embracing of AI. It's having a really clear strategy for how that is going to enable fast-paced growth for the business, and who are the key leaders that they're going to bring in order to deliver this growth transformation. So a really, really exciting time. In the 30 years that I've been a global headhunter, I'm seeing more change now than I have ever seen. And it's fascinating, and it particularly lends itself to the area that we recruit in, which is senior marketing, digital and technology leaders. The lion's share of the change that's happening right now is happening in that area. It's not just technical expertise alone. Organisations are looking for leaders who are going to be able to help them grow and transform. So they're change agents. So not only are people going to need really strong skills across marketing, digital and technology, but it's about having fantastic communication skills as well, because in a scenario where you are looking to grow at a pace, which brings commercial pressures, and enable change through people, often in very large, complex organizations, maybe on a global platform, what you're looking to do is deliver change in a very effective way that requires fantastic communication. So themes that are coming out now in terms of client briefs, in every single brief that we now have, whether that is marketing, digital or technology, 100% it will have within there that one of the key accountabilities is to have, to greater or lesser extent, a really good understanding of AI and technology adoption and how that is going to positively impact the business, what the organizational design might look. And we're going to see more OD change or organizational design change in the next 2 years than we've seen in the last 25 years. So it's a really positive and exciting time. But the companies who are leading the way are the ones who are really leaning into this and embracing this. Leaders who understand how AI and emerging technologies can really improve business performance. So, we're seeing a huge increase in kind of growth and digital roles. And the emphasis is on translating innovation into these measurable commercial outcomes. Fundamentally, to deliver customer-led growth, there's an increasing focus on customer acquisition, retention, lifetime value, metrics, data. And at chief of level, we're starting to see some very interesting roles come out. And I predict that we're going to see a lot of big interim roles in the next 12 months, which will be a variation of a chief digital data or AI officer. America's leading the way on this. They're well ahead of the game. But I think we'll start to see that with the UK companies as well. And marketing leaders are expected to drive this sustainable business growth. It's not just brand awareness, it is very holistic and it's very commercially driven. It's about leadership through transformation fundamentally. One of the noticeable shifts that we're seeing in terms of how organisations are approaching this is, first of all, they're recognising that we are going through a really unusual period in time. So we are seeing a lot of change that is ultimately driven by AI, automation, technology. Automation's been around for years, but there's a big mindset shift as well in terms of how that can positively impact commercial performance, growth, cost efficiencies. And companies are, and certainly what we're seeing in the conversations we're having, taking a curious and proactive approach to how they're going to tackle this. And yes, they're looking in that short term. So what's the right thing for the business within the next 12 months? But how does that ladder up to our commercial deliverables over the next 3 to 5 years? And I absolutely predict we're going to have a big increase in sort of senior interim roles. But rather than waiting for leadership gaps to appear, there's a lot of planning that's now going into place. So companies are asking questions like, do we have the capability, as it currently stands, to deliver the growth plans in the next 12 months? And more importantly, do we have the capability internally at the moment to deliver that in the next kind of 3 to 5 years? And is the leadership structure, or the OD, organisational design, that we've got in place, is that fit for purpose in this new world that we're entering into? And in the very short term, as we go into Q4 of the calendar year, should we strengthen that capability? And in many cases, that will be very specific, strategically thought through interim hires who come in to deliver what in essence will be writing the strategy around technology and AI adoption on an enterprise level, and how they then deliver that through the teams. The companies who are embracing this are being very proactive, and they are curious, excited, and they see the opportunity. And even to the point where, some of the conversations we're having now, companies are looking enterprise-wide at their organizational design. They know that there are a lot of roles that are going to come out of these structures. And I'm not even sure we will have very rigid job briefs going forward. I think within certain areas of companies, we will hire very much based on skill areas. So very exciting time as far as I'm concerned. I get asked a lot about the interim job market at the senior level specifically, and why we're seeing this continuous growth. And in its simplest format, what you typically see is in times of economic uncertainty, that doesn't have to be in a negative way, but where there's economic change, interim has historically always increased. And I've been saying for a few years now that I think the UK job market will fall more in line with the US job market, where, for example, there are significantly shorter notice periods, which gives a lot more fluidity in the job market. And I think that's the way that the UK market will continue to grow. We've certainly seen a huge increase in terms of interim hires in the last 5 years in the area that we specialise in, which is marketing, digital and technology. Is that going to continue throughout the next 12 months? 100%, because we're seeing a bigger period of change now than we've seen for 25 years in terms of how organisational design will operate, and what the key drivers for growth are within companies, and what ultimately is going to deliver the revenue. The beauty of senior interim leaders, when you're going through times of growth and transformation, is you can hire, you can in essence overhire. You can bring in a really experienced candidate who has that specific knowledge that you're looking for. They're proven in their expertise. They are able to hit the ground running, in the sense that they have not only the technical ability, but they've got fantastic communication experience. So they know in the first 90 days in that role, they can deliver value at pace. And particularly as we see an acceleration of technology, AI and automation adoption within businesses, 100% we will see not only an increase in interim roles, but we'll start to see some new titles at that chief of and director level as these roles come into the structures. And they may go permanent, but I think we're going to see a big increase in those interim roles. These are people who are coming and being appointed to accelerate transformation, lead strategic programs. They have specialist expertise. They know how to maintain that momentum during periods of change. And one of the other things that we're seeing is, and this has happened for many, many years, this is not particularly a new thing, but I think it will continue, is where companies are making strategic permanent appointments. There's a time lag. At a senior level, someone could be on a 6-month notice period, and more often now clients will ask for an interim or a stopgap candidate before that person hires. So best interim leaders out there, they can deliver impact almost immediately, because they come in with such a clear mandate to deliver and really defined outcomes. In terms of guidance for companies that are looking forward to the end of the year, to Q4 of the calendar year, and how they go about the planning, I would personally be taking a very strategic approach to this. And the sort of the summer months, July, August, to some extent, as we tip into September, that strategic planning will absolutely pay off. We're having a number of conversations at the moment where companies are really keen to explore and understand what's everyone else doing. How is everybody else dealing with this positive challenge? How are they going to adapt? What plans are they going to make to their organisational design? So I think it's a great time, in my view, to take the opportunity to really review leadership capability. So assess where that additional expertise could really strengthen the team, and then start planning before the market becomes increasingly competitive. And I would say now that probably 20% of organisations are leaning heavily into this, and 80% are still very much in the exploring and planning stages. The companies that are the early adopters, if you like, in terms of the ones that lean in heavily, make a strategic plan and act upon it, will be the ones that will secure the best talent. Because as it currently stands, certainly in the UK, there's still a fairly finite pool of talent who can turn up to an interim role having the ability to say that they have clearly successfully delivered a growth transformation with an AI and automation strategy. And so I think we'll see companies who are curious and take action actually will have the strategic advantage, in my personal view.